Welcome to another episode of Food Tech Insights. This podcast is brought to you by Swift Mindanao Co. We are a trusted food technology consulting service, and we aim to help grow your food business through the latest innovations in the field of food technology. Relax, listen, and we hope you can learn something from this podcast. Let's start.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're looking at something that's probably got your attention if you're in the food business over in the Philippines. The FDA's eServices portal, we're going to be talking about how it impacts food traders and distributors specifically. And this is all based on FDA Circular No. 2021-0N12. So you ready to decode this digital shift with me?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Let's go.
It's a big one, that's for sure. What I think is really interesting here is this isn't just a Philippines thing. We're seeing governments around the world using technology more and more to make regulations easier to understand, increase transparency and make life a bit easier for businesses.
Okay, so it's not just a local thing. Before we go global, then let's break down what this circular actually means for businesses on the ground in the Philippines. What's the headline here for you?
Basically, the FDA is saying goodbye to paper and hello digital. The circular tells you everything you need for applying, renewing, and even changing your license to operate your LTO through their eServices portal. Music to my ears. No more printing, signing, scanning, all that jazz. But let's back up a bit here. Why this sudden push for digital, and why now?
Well, I don't know about sudden. This has been in the works for a while, if you think about it. Remember RA 11032, the Ease of Doing Business Act? Yeah. This new eServices portal is a key part of that. It's all about making things easier for businesses working with the FDA, less bureaucracy.
Gotcha. So, cutting through that red tape. But who exactly does this impact? I'm imagining it's not just anyone who decides to sell a mango on the side of the road.
You're right. This is for a specific group. We're talking about a lot of players in the food industry, though. Traders, distributors. That includes wholesalers, importers, exporters, anyone moving food around. And it's not just any food either. We're talking processed foods, supplements, bottled water, even iodized salt falls under this.
Oh, this has got to cover a ton of ground in businesses then. This doesn't sound like just a minor tweak then. This is a pretty significant shift in how things are done.
Oh, absolutely. This changes the game completely. And the circular, that's the rule book. It covers everything from the application itself to what you need on the tech side to the small details of what happens when you hit that submit button.
Okay, so we've covered why they're doing it and who it impacts. Now let's get into the how. What's it actually look like to use this new eServices portal? Walk me through it.
Okay, so first things first, you need an authorized person.
Right.
This is your point person, basically.
Right.
The owner, the CEO, someone with the power to make legal decisions for the business.
So the buck stops with them.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
But they don't have to do everything themselves. That's where the qualified person comes in.
Okay, and this is where it gets technical, I'm guessing.
This is the part where the know-how comes in. This qualified person needs to make sure all the technical parts of your application are good to go. We're talking about people with specific expertise. It depends on your business, of course. But think food technologists, nutritionists, microbiologists. You need someone who really knows food safety regulations.
So it's not even just about knowing how to use a computer. It's knowing your stuff when it comes to food safety.
Exactly. And the FDA is serious about this. They actually say in the circular that these qualified people need training from good sources, universities, groups like the WHO or FAO, even the FDA Academy itself.
They're not messing around. So you've got your authorized person, you've got your qualified person. What's next in this digital adventure?
Now comes the fun part, actually using the portal. But before you jump into that, you'll need to gather all required documents, and they have to be submitted electronically.
Electronic submissions, that's got a nice ring to it. But I have to ask, are we talking like early 2000s website, clunky and confusing, or is it actually user-friendly?
Thankfully, it's not as bad as you might think. The FDA has really tried to make this easy to use. They've laid out all the steps in the circular, and there are even warnings and reminders built right into the forms. It's like they're holding your hand through the whole thing digitally.
I do love a little hand-holding when it comes to this stuff. What about payments, though? Please tell me I don't have to mail a check.
You are in luck, my friend. They've joined us in the 21st century. You can pay through Land Bank or BankNet.
Oh, thank goodness for that. Okay, so I've submitted my application, paid the fees. Now what? Do I just sit and wait? What happens on their end?
Well, not exactly twiddling your thumbs. There's a pre-assessment stage where an FDA evaluator reviews everything you've sent in. They make sure it's complete, accurate, and meets all the requirements.
So kind of like a quality check before it goes any further.
Exactly. And here's where it gets cool. The portal actually keeps you updated the whole way through. You'll get notifications if your application needs revisions when your payment goes through, and of course when it's approved. No more guessing games or calling the FDA hotline every 5 minutes.
Okay, now this is what I like to hear, starting to feel the love for this digital world. So let's say everything's good to go, my application gets approved. What happens next?
You get your LTO electronically sent right to your email. You can even access it through the portal itself.
Hold on, the LTO is digital now? No more fancy certificate to frame and hang on the wall?
Well, you still need to print a copy for display. The circular does say that. But here's the cool part. They've added a QR code for verification.
Oh, wow. So high-tech verification for a digital license. Makes sense, though. It sounds like they're trying to modernize things, but still keep those important checks and balances in place.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's all about using technology to make things more efficient, transparent, and accountable. All super important when it comes to food safety.
We've talked about the good stuff, but are there any downsides businesses should know about?
Of course. Even though the eServices portal can make things a lot smoother, there might be a learning curve.
Right.
Especially for businesses that aren't as familiar with online processes.
Right.
Data privacy and security, that's a big one too. Businesses need to be extra careful with their systems and make sure they're handling sensitive information correctly.
And let's not forget about the people involved. Change can be tough for anyone. Some staff might need a bit of extra training or support to adjust to this new way of doing things.
Absolutely. You're right. Implementing these kinds of changes successfully, that takes more than just new technology. It takes organizational change management too.
Gotcha. So it's about bringing everyone along on this digital journey. Now, I know we're being pretty positive here. But to be fair, are there any downsides or challenges people should watch out for? Any gotchas hiding in the fine print of this circular?
That's a great question. And honestly, while there are a lot of good things about this new system, there are always things to be aware of. One thing that stood out to me was how they're handling variations for businesses that already have their LTOs.
What do you mean? Unpack that a bit for us. What should businesses be aware of?
Okay, so the circular is very clear. If you have an LTO and you need to change anything like your address, adding a new product, or even a change in ownership, you need to apply for a variation.
Okay, that makes sense. They want to keep everything accurate and up to date.
Right, but here's the catch. You can't just submit a variation with your renewal application. They have to be separate. And if your LTO is up for renewal, you have to renew it first before you can even apply for any variations. It's a two-step process.
So timing is everything.
It really is. And the circular even says if you apply for renewal and then realize, oh, I need to make a change, well, the information on your renewed LTO won't have those changes.
Right.
You have to go through the variation process after all that.
Which means more time, more effort, potentially even more fees.
Exactly.
So everyone listening, pay attention. Before you even think about hitting submit on that renewal application, double check, triple check that every single detail is correct and up to date. Because once that LTO is issued, any little change needs a whole separate process.
It's a small thing to keep in mind, but it could save you a huge headache later on.
You heard it here, folks. All right, we've covered a lot. So before we wrap up our deep dive into this eServices portal, let's zoom out for a sec. We've talked about how the steps involved all this, but what does it all mean for you, the listener? Why should you care?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like they say, knowledge without action is just trivia.
I love that. So what's the takeaway? What should our listeners be doing with this information? It's great to know the rules, but how do you actually use them to your advantage?
Well, first things first, don't panic. Change can be scary, I get it.
Yeah.
But the FDA has given you a roadmap. That's what this circular is. It's your instruction manual for this new system.
Okay, so it's like choose your own adventure, but for food licenses. And if anything's unclear, there's always the FDA website, right?
Exactly. And they've actually gone a step further. They published a citizens charter that outlines service standards and what to expect. Pretty transparent for a government agency, if you ask me.
I agree. Transparency is always a good thing. So what else can our listeners do to be prepared?
Now is the time to really look at your business. Do you have what you need on the digital side to handle this change? Are your staff comfortable with online processes? If you answer those questions now, you'll save yourself a lot of headaches later.
Be proactive, not reactive. Love it.
And remember, this is probably just the beginning. This move to digital, it's happening everywhere, and it's only going to speed up.
It's not just about adapting to this one change, then. It's about being ready to learn and adapt over and over again as things keep changing.
You got it. The food industry is always evolving. This is just the next step.
And that can be exciting, especially if it means a safer, more efficient, and transparent food system for everyone.
Couldn't agree more.
So for that final thought-provoking question before we wrap things up, We've talked a lot about the steps involved with this new system. But what about the why on a deeper level? This push towards going digital isn't just happening in the Philippines, it's global.
It really is.
As technology becomes a bigger part of our lives, including how we regulate something as important as food, it makes you wonder, what role will consumers play in all of this? Will more transparency mean that consumers are more involved and empowered? Or will it lead to new challenges and concerns?
Now, those are some really interesting questions.
Questions we'll definitely be diving into in future episodes. But for now, we hope this deep dive has given you the knowledge and insights you need to handle the FDA's eServices portal without a hitch.
Good luck out there.
And remember, whether you're a food industry pro or just starting out, knowledge is power. So keep asking those questions, never stop learning, and join us next time for another deep dive into a topic that matters to you.